This is the Pixel 4 and Pixel 4 XL from Google. Finally! And to get right to the point, there are a lot of reasons to be excited about these two phones. The Pixel 4 has to be one of the most leaked and teased phones in recent memory. In fact, Google itself shared a photo of the phone back in June on Twitter. But I gotta say, the phones in person look far better than the photo that was tweeted. The Pixel 4 comes with a new industrial design and a square camera array, all belted together by a new aluminum band that wraps around the sides. Good news, the Pixel 4 XL loses the ugly notch that Pixel 3 XL had. Good riddance. The overall size of Google's newest phones is roughly the same size as last year's Pixel 3 and 3 XL, with the new Pixels being just a millimeter or so bigger. The new phones are also a tad heavier, but the Pixel 4 and 4 XL have a more solid feel when I picked it up. It just felt more robust than any other Pixel phone I'd held. On the front are where some of the biggest changes have occurred, with a new 90Hz OLED display like that found on the OnePlus 7 Pro or last year's Asus ROG phone, which refreshes the display 90 times a second, makes graphics look smoother and text look sharper. Google calls the new screen on the Pixel 4 Smooth Display, which sounds like a great name for a jazz band, but Smooth Display can actually switch refresh rates depending on what's on the screen. The Pixel 4 has a 5.7-inch display, up from last year's 5.5-inch one found on the Pixel 3. And the Pixel 4 XL has a 6.3-inch display, the same size as last year's Pixel 3 XL. The new displays have a feature called Ambient EQ, which sounds like the name of a jazz album. Ambient EQ adjusts the color temperature in different lighting situations to make the screen look more clean and natural, kind of like Apple's True Tone on the iPhone and iPad. But it's what's above the screen that's really, really impressive. It's called Motion Sense, and it uses a mix of sensors, infrared, and radar to let you unlock the phone with your face. In fact, Motion Sense is considered a strong biometric, so you can use it with Google Pay as well as your password apps. Motion Sense can be used in other instances too, like if you're listening to Spotify, you can swipe your hand above the phone to forward a track or swipe it the other way to reverse a track. There are live wallpapers that react to your motion, like you can send hearts to a Pokemon, and you can even swipe your hand to dismiss a call or turn off an alarm. But let's get to what many of you are most interested in, the cameras. The Pixel 4 has two rear cameras. The first one is the exact same as last year's Pixel 3. It's a wide-angle camera with an aperture of f1.7 with a 12 megapixel sensor. And then there's a brand new 16 megapixel telephoto camera with an aperture of f2.4 that provides the Pixel 4 a 2 times optical zoom. When I asked Google why they opted for a telephoto camera as opposed to an ultra-wide angle camera like those found on the Galaxy S10 line and the new iPhones, they thought zooming in on a subject was more important to people. This camera duo brings a slew of improvements and new features. For example, Night Sight, which takes multiple images in low light and combines them to make your photos look brighter and have less noise, is now capable of taking photos of stars. Yep, that's right, you can be an astrophotographer just by using your phone. Another improvement is when you take HDR plus photos, you now get a live preview of what the photo will look like before you take it. You don't have to wait a second or so for the phone to process the image to see how your photo actually turned out. There are now dual sliders that let you adjust highlights and shadows of the viewfinder instead of just the overall exposure. And Google claims portrait mode is improved. Basically, it's now using the two rear cameras to cut out and blur the edges of your subjects. Also, you can now have a wide-angle portrait option. All these improvements are powered by a new neural core chip that does all the processing locally on the phone. Gone are the dual selfie cameras of the Pixel 3, and in its place is a single 8 megapixel camera with a wider field of view. Video is largely unchanged, but now has an audio transcription option that actually live captions your videos as you record them. In fact, Google also launched its very first audio recorder app that uses the live transcription technology that it does in video. There's also a new version of Google Assistant that better integrates across the phone. Voice commands are better, and you can now swipe up diagonally from the bottom corners of the phone to pull up a dreamlike cloud. for Google Assistant. The new Pixels come in black, white, or orange. Actually, Google calls it oh so orange. A Pixel 4 with 64 gigabytes of storage costs $799, and a Pixel 4 XL with 64 gigabytes of storage costs $899. Though you can upgrade either to 128 gigabytes for $100 more. We look forward to testing out both phones more in depth to see how the cameras and new OS live up to the hype.